What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to take a look at the 2026 midterm election Senate edition. And so we're going to do a breakdown of Senator Collins versus Plattner. Now, Plattner is not the nominee for the Democratic Party yet. Okay, so we still have that primary going on, so it's going to be Plattner versus Mills, but I want to do a breakdown of Plattner, and then I also want to do a breakdown of Mills, so both of them versus Collins. But today we're just going to take a look at Plattner. We're using the +1 model. I talked about that a few days ago. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll post a link to that video in this video, but basically I created an AI model. I trained that model to show us the probability of each candidate, the probability of them winning in the 2026 midterm election. So that is what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have a political science degree. I've been working in political campaigns for over 15 years. And in this video and in all my videos, we focus on real data, real trends, and what that means for the 2026 midterm election. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this with your family and friends. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to take a look at this, and it's a little bit different now. So this is the Senate model. Now, if you guys watch me, you know I do one for the House of Representatives. We just look at the overall seats and the seat gain. If you guys want, I'll have a link to that video as well. So just to keep you guys up to date so you can see what's going on in the House, see what's going on in the Senate. But I want to do these individual Senate races because this is where it really gets interesting. Okay, so we want to see who's likely, who's not likely. Is it tilting Republican, tilting Democrat? Okay, so this red and blue, I'll go back to this at the very end. But we're going to go down right now and we're going to take a look at the model. So looking at the model, the first baseline here, the state, or they call it the state baseline, that's SB. So basically we're looking at Maine presidential lean, Democrat +7, and that's because Harris won in Maine. Okay, so we're going back to 2024, and that's kind of how they're figuring or factoring in this state baseline. So the state baseline right now is +7. So that is that favors Democrats. And so we have this number here, 64. I will show you, actually I can show you right now what that means, but at the very end, they're going to give us, they're going to calculate all the numbers and then they're going to give us a final score. But a 64, if we're looking at this bar here, if we're looking at the bar graph, if we start on the very left here, you see 100, and then it comes down to 50, okay? And then you see it go down to 0 here. And what you need to understand is the blue here, that's Democrats. Red here, that's Republican. The further right, that is the stronger, you know, that's more likely that this candidate will win. The stronger left, that's more likely that the Democrat will win. And then when we're at 50 in the middle here, that is a toss-up. And then you have, I mean, there'll be a kind of an area here where it's going to still be toss-up. Just based on it might be a little, you know, Democrats might be favored by a little bit, but it's still considered a toss-up. And so that's what we're looking at the top here. So we looked at this first score here, 64. That would put us right here, and you see that would be, you know, favor Democrats. Now, if it were like 34, then that would favor Republicans. Okay, so hopefully you guys understand what's going on here. And so we'll go over it when we get the final numbers, but I just wanted to show you what these numbers mean. So that's the score there, 64. When it comes to the polling snapshot, we're looking at average polling, and we're using Real Clear Politics here, and it's Democrats +2.5, okay? And then that score there is 55. Fundraising. So fundraising, Collins right now has 6.7 million, and Plattner has 2.24 million, okay? So right now, Collins has the advantage because she is raising more money. This is the score here. And so you see that score of 25. That means it's far, far to the right. And so that really favors the Republican, Collins. Okay, incumbency. So Collins is an incumbent, and she has a score here of 42. So that favors the Republican. Okay, so we look at the macro factors. So we're looking at the generic ballot. That's Real Clear Politics. Right now, it's showing Democrats +4. We're looking at CPI. That's inflation. Right now, it's at 2.7. We're looking at unemployment, that's 4.6, and we're getting that from BLS and Fred. And so then we tie that all together with a macro score of 52.3. Now the final calculation here is 51.8. And then when we look at the win probability, you have the Democrats at 59% and the Republican at 41%. Now, when it comes to win probability, you just have to understand, it doesn't mean that Plattner has a 18-point lead over Collins because he has 59 and she has 41. What it is saying is if you had a flip of a coin 100 times, Plattner would win 59 times and Collins would win 41 times. And that's what that means. So you can look at probability, but it doesn't really carry that much weight. It's just giving us an idea of, okay, if we had 100 elections, this is what we would see. We would see Plattner win 59 of those elections. Okay, so let's go back to our bar. So we already know 51.8. So let's go to our bar graph here, and we'll show you exactly where Plattner is. So you'll see. So when it's 51.8, so we have 51, let's just say it's right about there, okay? And so that is just showing us, this is a pure toss-up, 50, and so this would still be considered a toss-up. You can say Democrats have an edge, a slight edge, but this race is still really close. You can't say Democrats have a huge lead or Democrats will probably win. You can't say that. They have an edge, but it's still a toss-up looking at this, and we're still early in this election, okay? And we don't know if Plattner is going to be the Democratic nominee. Mills could be the Democratic nominee, and we'll run those numbers as well in the future. But when it comes to Plattner right now, he does have a lead. He has a slight lead. Okay, so now I want to take a look at the map, the Senate map. I like to end with this just so you guys get an idea, get a picture of what's going on in these different states and why Maine, for Democrats, Maine is a must win. And so if we're looking at this, and let's just say we have 4 toss-ups, okay? So Michigan would be a toss-up, North Carolina, Georgia, and Maine. Now, if you've watched my channel, you see that I generally go to these as toss-ups right now. These are the most competitive states that we're seeing right now. So if that was the case, we would have Democrats and Independents at 45. We would have Republicans at 51. And so Republicans would still have the majority. The reason why Maine is so important is because if Democrats win Maine, if they win Michigan, if they win North Carolina, and they win Georgia, now Democrats have 49. They still need to win 2 more states. And when we start looking at the rest of the map, it gets a little tricky, right? Because we're starting to look at some of these states. We're looking at Iowa, maybe. We're looking at Ohio, maybe South Carolina, maybe Texas. These are states, and even Nebraska, if you have the independent that caucuses with Democrats, that could be a possibility. But you have to win Maine, because if you don't win Maine, let's say Republicans win Maine, now you're at 48. Now you need 3 states. So you're going to need to you're going to need South Carolina, Ohio, and Iowa, or South Carolina, Ohio, and Texas, or South Carolina, Ohio, and Nebraska, or Alaska. You're going to really need to have a huge victory if you're a Democrat if you can't win Maine. But if you win Maine, it makes things a little easier, because now we can look at some states, and realistically, we can look at Ohio. I've talked about that before. Sherrod Brown has a possibility of winning in Ohio. And then now we're down to 1 more state. And when we get down to 1 more state, because we'd be Democrats at 50, Republicans at 50. Now, remember, the vice president comes in and breaks the tie for Republicans, so they would still have the majority. But you only need to win 1 more state at that point. And even if you do get to a point where it's a 50-50, that is still good. That's a huge victory for Democrats, because they will have netted 3 seats. And then Democrats would have a real possibility of taking back the Senate in 2028 if it's a 50-50, or even if it's a 49-51. But this is what we're looking at right now. That's why Maine is very important. And that's why the Democratic Party is focused on Maine. And we have Plattner right now. We have Mills. So we have 2 candidates, 2 good candidates that can run against Collins. And right now, Collins is struggling. She's struggling in the polls. She's struggling, and she's going to have to defend President Trump's record. And we know the major issue right now is the economy. So if the economy is not doing well come November, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to go out to vote, and they are going to vote against some of these politicians just based on the fact that our economy is not doing well. So these incumbents that are in office right now, it's going to be hard for them to be able to defend what's going on. And if the economy is bad, they're going to suffer as a result of that. So I want to know what you guys think about Plattner possibly winning in Maine in 2026. Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know where you're watching me from. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. Remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.